Hadirin yang terhormat, demi kelancaran acara Dean's Award 2020, kami mohon agar hadirin dapat mematikan mikrofon dengan fitur mute dan selalu menyalakan kamera selama acara berlangsung. Acara Dean's Award 2020 akan segera dimulai.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our ceremony, we would like to remind you to make sure that your microphone is on mute and to have your camera on throughout the event. Dean's Award 2020 will soon begin.
Hadirin yang terhormat, demi kelancaran acara Dean's Award 2020, kami mohon agar hadirin dapat mematikan mikrofon dengan fitur mute dan selalu menyalakan kamera selama acara berlangsung. Acara Dean's Award 2020 akan segera dimulai.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our ceremony, we would like to remind you to make sure that your microphone is on mute and to have your camera on throughout the event. Dean's Award 2020 will soon begin.
Selamat siang dan selamat datang dalam acara penyerahan gelar akademik dan Dean's Award untuk mahasiswa kelas khusus internasional angkatan 2016. Perkenalkan, saya Natasha dan partner saya Rozan yang akan menjadi MC untuk memandu acara pada hari ini.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this conferment ceremony for students of the International Class Program at Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, Batch 2016. Let us introduce ourselves. My name is Rozan, and this is my partner Natasha as the Master of Ceremony for this event.
Sebelum acara dimulai, kami ingin mengucapkan selamat datang kepada
Before we begin, we would like to extend our warmest welcome to
Profesor Dr. Ari Fahrial Syam, spesialis penyakit dalam, konsultan gastroenterohepatologi, Master of Molecular Biology, sebagai Dekan Fakultas Kedokteran Universitas Indonesia. Profesor Dr. Dwiana Okvianti, spesialis obstetri ginekologi konsultan, Master of Public Health sebagai Wakil Dekan Bidang Pendidikan, Penelitian, dan Kemahasiswaan. Dr. Murti Andriastuti, spesialis anak konsultan, sebagai Manajer Pendidikan dan Kemahasiswaan Program Sarjana, Profesi Dokter, Magister, dan Doktor. Dr. Siska Widiawati, spesialis mata, sebagai Ketua Program Studi Pendidikan dan Profesi Dokter. Dr. Wismandari Wisnu, spesialis penyakit dalam, konsultan endokrin metabolik diabetes, sebagai Koordinator Kelas Internasional. Dr. Petrin Radayani Lukman, spesialis kedokteran jiwa konsultan, Magister Pendidikan Kedokteran, sebagai Koordinator Kelas Reguler. Dr. Ruliana Agustin, Master of Medical Education sebagai staf pengajar FKUI.
Dr. Anita Horvath, Coordinator of Bachelor of Medical Science Program, Faculty of Medicine, Dentistry and Health Sciences, University of Melbourne. Dr. Nilakshi Waidyatillake, Lecturer and Coordinator, Clinical Research Training, Department of Medical Education, University of Melbourne. Associate Professor Megan Wallace, Director of Medical Student Research for Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences, Monash University. Professor John Kirby, Dean of Postgraduate Studies, School of Medicine, Newcastle University. And Dr. Jeremy Brown, Master of Research Degree Program Director, Newcastle University.
Selamat datang juga kami ucapkan kepada Ibu Sutarti Eko Prasetya Ningsih sebagai Ketua Umum Perkumpulan Penyantun Kesejahteraan Mahasiswa PPKM FKUI, kepada seluruh perwakilan PPKM, kepada staf pengajar, dan juga kepada seluruh orang tua mahasiswa yang kami hormati.
We will start this ceremony by singing Indonesia's national anthem, Indonesia Raya.
Kita akan memulai acara hari ini dengan menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya.
Now, we would like to welcome our International Class Program Coordinator, Dr. Wismandari Wisnu, to give an opening speech. To Dr. Wismandari, the time and stage is yours.
Selanjutnya, mari kita dengar kata sambutan dari Koordinator Kelas Internasional, Dr. Wismandari Wisnu. Kepada Dr. Wismandari, waktu dan tempat dipersilakan.
Thank you very much for the Master of Ceremony. The Excellency Dean of Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, Professor Ari Fahrial Sham, Vice Dean of Education, Research and Student Affairs, Professor Dwiana Okvianti, Manager of Academic and Student Affairs, Undergraduate, Postgraduate, and Doctorate Program, Dr. Murti Andriastuti, Head of Undergraduate Program, Dr. Siska Widiawati, Coordinator of Regular Class, Dr. Petrin Redayani, our distinguished guests, Coordinator, Advanced Medical Science, Faculty of Medicine, Dentistry, and Health Sciences, the University of Melbourne, Australia, Dr. Anita Horvath, and her associate, Dr. Nilakshi Waidyatilaki, Lecturer and Coordinator, Clinical Research Training, Department of Medical Education, University of Melbourne, Director of Medical Students Research, Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences, Monash University, Australia, Professor Megan Wallace, Dean of Postgraduate Studies in Faculty of Medical Science at Newcastle University, United Kingdom, Professor John Kirby and his associate, Dr. Jeremy Brown, as a Degree Program Director, Master of Research Programs. Respectable staff from Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, representative from PPKM, the proud parents of the graduates, and of course, all of my students of the international class program at Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, batch 2016, the graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, Jakarta. Good morning, Newcastle, and good evening, Melbourne. Some people ask me when this pandemic will end, and I always answer, God knows, and I don't want to think about it. All I can do is just try to do the best I can to cope with this new situation. Let me share a little bit about my duty in my hospital. I have been a doctor in charge in COVID-19 ward for the last 1 week and still going until next week. I have to take care of 50 patients a day. Is it hard? Yes. But thank God, it doesn't feel that way. Maybe because I have a very good team with me and I really enjoy what I do. So for me, it is really okay not to have the answer when this will end. I believe the answer will come for sure if you can accept not knowing long enough with patience and stay long enough for new thoughts to arise and embrace the challenge to make a new beginning and new hope. Sorry. This batch experienced very challenging situation of their study abroad. They switched into online study midway through their academic year, which is not an easy way to do research. But regardless of the challenge, they did it, and they did it well. Of course, this wouldn't happen without the big help of our colleagues from University of Melbourne, Monash University, and Newcastle University. So everyone, please put your hands together for them. And today, 13 students from University of Melbourne, 14 students from Monash University, and 21 students from Newcastle University will be graduates. I know you all would have preferred not to attend your own graduation ceremony through a computer screen. But do remember that this event being held virtually doesn't make your accomplishment any less significant. If anything, it shows your ability to arise from challenges weighed upon you. And we are not alone. Across the world, COVID-19 has forced more than 1 billion students out of schools. But have faith, this is just temporary. Whatever happens, we will continue our education and follow our dreams. Finally, I would like to say, yes, you did it. Congratulations, batch 2016. So that's all for me. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Dr. Usmandari, for opening this event with a beautiful speech. Next, we would like to invite Dr. Anita Horvath, Coordinator of Bachelor of Medical Science Program, Faculty of Medicine, Dentistry and Health Sciences, University of Melbourne, to address the audience. To Dr. Anita Horvath, the time and stage is yours.
Thank you very
Terima
much.
kasih.
Oh.
Terima kasih Dr. Wismandari untuk kata sambutannya. Selanjutnya kami mengundang Dr. Anita Horvath, Coordinator of Bachelor of Medical Science Program, Faculty of Medicine, Dentistry and Health Sciences, University of Melbourne, untuk memberikan kata sambutan. Kepada Dr. Anita Horvath, waktu dan tempat dipersilakan.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us to this wonderful ceremony. As Dr. Wisma has stated, it's very unusual. It's not the way we normally do this, but nonetheless, it's a very, very important event to celebrate and acknowledge the hard work of this cohort that really showed some wonderful resilience throughout this year. To Dean Ari, our valued colleagues from Universitas Indonesia, to Dr. Wisma, the parents of this cohort and our valued students, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the Faculty of Medicine, Dentistry and Health Sciences, our Dean Satish Kapoor, the Melbourne Medical School, and Professor Steve Trumbull, who is our Director of Medical Education and is always very delighted to attend these graduation events, but are unfortunately unable to be here today. But I'd like to congratulate the students, all the students from all across every university that they undertook their research year. And I'm delighted that I'm here with our new colleague, Dr. Nalakshi Waidyalaki, who has just joined the Bachelor of Medical Science program. And although we are attending this in very different format from the ones that we have attended in previous years, I'm not wearing my fancy gown, but nonetheless, congratulations to you all. It's always very much a pleasure to attend Jakarta. I look forward to it every year when I visit, and to renew really the long-standing friendship and collaboration that we have with Universitas Indonesia, and also to meet students and the parents when we visit. And whilst I'm very delighted that we can gather today via virtually to celebrate the accomplishments of the 2019-2020 cohort of students. They are to be especially congratulated for their ability to adapt to such challenging circumstances. When we first met the students in 2019, none of us thought that this is what we would be facing, and they are to be congratulated to adapting so well. For completing with excellence their studies abroad and adapting to studies that were completed online. So well done to all of you. Our BMed-Sci students and our academics at the University of Melbourne have really enjoyed working with the Universitas Indonesia students to provide these students with the research training opportunities and to inspire them to become the next generation of clinician researchers. We want them to be able to look at the best clinical evidence to deliver best clinical outcomes for patient care. This has long been the ethos at the University of Melbourne, and we hope that through completing their BMed-Sci degree, we've inspired our graduates to incorporate research into their future clinical careers. The importance of research for clinicians is highlighted in a way that it never has been before as we face this COVID-19 pandemic together. We've always been really aware that healthcare and the frontline healthcare worker is very important, but I think that the pandemic has really highlighted how important it is that clinicians also have a really good training in research, and how important that research training is when we're treating patients at the bedside, and also developing new discoveries in order to be able to combat the healthcare challenges that we face. We are very pleased to receive in Melbourne Universitas Indonesia students who choose to begin their research training through our program. It is these students who are graduating today, and the University of Melbourne and the Melbourne Medical School congratulates them on their success and the contribution that they have made to their research areas whilst in Melbourne. We are very proud to offer these students a blended clinical research experience, and we hope that we have given them very good opportunities and inspired them to become the next clinician researchers. And they also generate very high quality research work. The top student for this year and the recipient of the University of Melbourne Dean's Prize for 2019-2020 is Ms. Diandra Priyamodo. Her project, a big clap, so we usually do a clap, impact of investigations in children with immune thrombocytopenia. And Diandra undertook her project with one of our leading paediatric haematologists at the Royal Children's Hospital, Professor Paul Monagle. In addition to Diandra's work, we'd like to also acknowledge the academic excellence displayed by all the cohort who all accomplished amazing academic outcomes. I would also especially like to thank the parents for supporting the students and trusting us to look after their children while they were in Melbourne. We look forward to continuing our collaboration with Universitas Indonesia and sincerely hope that we can visit in 2021 to be able to congratulate the students in person and to celebrate their accomplishments. Finally, I congratulate all the students on their hard work, dedication and commitment during their time at the University of Melbourne. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anita Horvath, for an enchanting speech. Next, we would like to invite Associate Professor Megan Wallace, Director of Medical Student Research for Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences, Monash University, to address the audience. To Associate Professor Megan Wallace, the time and stage is yours.
Terima kasih Dr. Anita Horvath untuk kata sambutannya. Selanjutnya, kami mengundang Associate Professor Megan Wallace, Director of Medical Student Research for Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences, Monash University, untuk memberikan kata sambutan. Kepada Associate Professor Megan Wallace, waktu dan tempat dipersilahkan.
Thank you. Professor Dr. Dean Ari Farashani, esteemed guests, students and parents, it gives me great pleasure to join you as a representative of Monash University today. Thank you for inviting us all. As Dr. Anita Horvath noted, the importance of medical research has never before been as clear as it has been this year. So to be a medical student undertaking research during a pandemic is an incredible learning experience. But I also want to acknowledge that it's been a really tough, a really challenging time. To be away from your home and your families during such a time of great uncertainty has no doubt been very stressful for everyone. Many students, in addition to that, many students in the Monash cohort had to change projects when their original projects became unfeasible. And of course, all students had to work online for the vast majority of the year. The lockdown, at least in Melbourne, meant that many students haven't had the opportunity to make as many new friends and to fully explore the opportunities that would have normally come with living overseas for a year. But despite all of those challenges, you've all made it through the year. You've shown great adaptability, great resilience, and you've all performed incredibly well. So I'd like to congratulate all of the students here from Monash University, Melbourne University and Newcastle University who have completed their year overseas. And I'd particularly like to congratulate the highest achieving students from our two Monash cohorts. Kenny Budeman, who is the highest achieving student in the July to May cohort, for his project titled The Associations Between Bariatric Surgery, Barrett's Esophagus and Esophageal Cancer, and Malati Salsabila Anjasari, who was the highest achieving student in the February to November cohort for her project titled The Impact of COVID-19 on Coronary Heart Disease in Australia. It's an incredible achievement by those two students, but as I've said, also an incredible achievement by every student this year amongst the challenges that they've had to deal with. It has been incredibly insightful of Universitas Indonesia to forge relationships with the 3 international universities that are joining you today, and equally as insightful of the parents here today to choose to send your sons and daughters to UI, where they are able to undertake such an incredible experience as a formal part of their medical training. In the Bachelor of Medical Science Honours degree at Monash University, students immerse themselves in a 9-month research project to answer a clinically relevant question. And at the end of that time, they submit a 15,000-word honours thesis that is assessed by 2 independent examiners in the field. It's a huge task. Most students come out of the year feeling as though the learning has increased at an exponential rate and that they've undergone enormous personal and academic growth. Importantly, they gain an appreciation of how little we know about the body, about how the body works in health and disease. They've certainly learned a lot about pandemics and the importance of all different forms of research in this year. They've definitely learned how new knowledge is generated, and most importantly, they gain confidence in their ability to develop into practitioners of evidence-based medicine. You should all be incredibly proud of what you have achieved this year, more so, I think, than any previous year before you. All 3 of the international universities represented here today are ranked very highly in the international university rankings. Those rankings are largely based upon the research outputs of those universities. And much of that research is, of course, performed by honours students, honours, masters and PhD students like those who are joining us today. So it is important to note that while all of the universities here today have contributed to the success of the students, those students also contribute to the success of the universities. Monash University is certainly very honoured to have played a role in the achievements that our students have made this year. And we look forward to very many more years of fruitful collaboration with Universitas Indonesia and with the other partner universities here today, so that together we can all grow our medical workforces and help to improve the health outcomes for all of our populations within our region. On behalf of Monash University, I thank you for allowing us to be part of this collaborative learning alliance. And as Anita said, I'm very disappointed that I can't be there with you to congratulate you all in person, and particularly to meet your parents and pass on how proud we are of you, and to hear from them how proud they are of you as well. So thank you very much for having us here today, and I hope, as Anita said, we really hope that we get to catch up with you again the next time that we can all safely travel to Jakarta. Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Professor Megan Wallace, for such encouraging words. Next, we would like to invite Professor John Kirby, Dean of Postgraduate Studies, School of Medicine, Newcastle University, to address the audience. Professor John Kirby, the stage is yours.
Terima kasih Associate Professor Megan Wallace untuk kata sambutannya. Selanjutnya, kami mengundang Professor John Kirby, Dean of Postgraduate Studies, School of Medicine, Newcastle University. Kepada Professor John Kirby, waktu dan tempat dipersilakan.
Well, thank you very much, Razam and Natasha, for your kind introduction. It's a real pleasure for me to join you today from Newcastle by this remote Zoom meeting. Dean Ari, Dr. Wismandari, colleagues, former students, proud parents, ladies and gentlemen, although I am speaking to you remotely, we're all united in our response to a common threat, the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think whilst we continue to distance ourselves socially and indeed geographically today, the real hope of our recovery lies in the hands of our international community of biomedical research scientists and their common work towards creation of vaccines and new therapies. And of course, today, we're here to celebrate the graduation of a new cohort of these researchers from the 3 programs that we've heard about in 3 universities. But I'm speaking specifically to the Masters of Medical Research degree program graduates from Newcastle University in the UK. This research degree is led by my colleague, Dr. Jeremy Brown, and is now one of the largest and most successful of its types in the UK. Today, we have more than 210 students registered on the programme, with more than half coming from medical backgrounds. And indeed, there is already a further cohort of students from UE working on the MRes in Newcastle. The programme truly international in scope. We've got 30% of students coming from outside the UK. And recently we had an important national survey that showed that almost all of our MRes students are entirely happy with their experience of this programme and indeed the experience they have in Newcastle. For all these reasons, the programme has become very popular. So we can select students very carefully and only accept the most able students. Dean Ari, I think it's a clear testament to the quality of the training your students receive in Jakarta that the cohort of students who travel each year to Newcastle does so very well within our MRes programme. And indeed, it was the same this year, despite the rather difficult circumstances that the students faced with online teaching and changes, very significant changes made to the nature of the research projects that the students undertook. So this year, the highest ranking student from UE is once again one of the most successful students within the entire programme. I'm sure we're all looking forward to meeting this student, Natasha Brigitte Celine, who will no doubt describe her own work in the important area of diabetes research. But I'm here today to celebrate the success of all of our former MRes students, and indeed also the students from the other 2 universities who've now returned to Indonesia to complete their medical studies. Maybe in the future, we'll be able to welcome some of you again if you wish to continue with your research as PhD students, either coming back to Newcastle or perhaps working jointly between Newcastle and UE with the joint PhD programme that we have available. So I'd like to end by thanking you once again and congratulating each and every one of the graduates we're here to celebrate today.
Thank you, Professor John Kirby, for the wonderful speech. Next, we would like to invite Profesor Dr. Ari Fahrial Syam, Spesialis Penyakit Dalam, Konsultan Gastroenterohepatologi, Master of Molecular Biology, as the Dean of Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, to address the audience. To Profesor Ari, the stage is yours.
Terima kasih Profesor John Kirby untuk kata sambutannya. Selanjutnya, kami mengundang Profesor Dr. Ari Fahrial Syam, Spesialis Penyakit Dalam, Konsultan Gastroenterohepatologi, Master of Molecular Biology, sebagai Dekan Fakultas Kedokteran Universitas Indonesia untuk memberikan kata sambutannya. Kepada Profesor Ari, waktu dan tempat dipersilahkan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Vice Dean, Professor Ovi, Faculty of Medicine, Indonesia, Dr. Andri, Manager of Education, Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, Dr. Siska, Dr. Petrin, and also Dr. Wismandari Wisnu as the Coordinator of International Class, Faculty of Medicine, Indonesia, all staff of Faculty of Medicine, University of Indonesia, Dr. Anita Holford from Melbourne Uni, and also here Dr. Nilaski Widya Tilake, also from Melbourne Uni, Professor Megan Walsh, Director of Medical Student Research and Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences, Monash University, and Professor John Kirby as the Dean of Postgrad Studies, Faculty of Medicine Science, Newcastle University, and also here Dr. Jeremy Brown as a degree program director of Faculty of Medicine Sciences, Newcastle University. Below, graduate from University of Melbourne, Monash University, and Newcastle University, parents and attendees. Good afternoon. I, Ari Farial Sam, as the Dean of Family Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, welcome all of you on today's Dean's Award in 2020. As a Dean of Family Medicine, I'm very pleased and honored to welcome all the graduates from the University of Melbourne, Monash University, and Newcastle University. First, I would like to congratulate each students who has successfully completed the overseas programs in the pandemic era. The hard work that everyone has been putting, it has led us to where we are today. I believe that a year spent studying abroad has been a remarkable lifetime experience for all of you. You have obtained a lot of knowledge and skills and will be necessary to your next step in becoming a medical doctor. Maybe your journey to becoming doctor will be hard, but with your valuable experience abroad, I'm sure that you can overcome it. I sincerely hope that in the future, after you become a medical doctors, and also to follow intensive programs, you can continue your journey back to Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, in specialist programs, including also our master and PhD programs. On this occasion, I would like to express my highest gratitude to all the teachers, supervisors, and staff at the University of Melbourne, Monash University, and also Newcastle University for providing opportunities to our students to experience high-quality educations. I hope our collaborations will continue fruitfully and contribute to global public health. Also, I would like to thank all our hardworking coordinator that Dr. Wisma mentioned, all the member teams from Faculty of Medicine that has made these programs possible. I know that especially during this pandemic, we have to adapt in the new working and bureaucracy system, which I know I'm not an easy task. However, the success of our students shows that with the right attitude and full cooperations from each component, we can get through any circumstances. Finally, I want to congratulate the parents, family of graduates. I really share your pride and joy in the accomplishment of our student. Your support to the student is very important to what we have now achieved. And also for Bapak Ibu from PPKM as well. Once again, for all students, congratulations on your graduation and best wishes for your next adventure. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Ari, for the delightful speech. And with this, the awarding ceremony of Dean's Award 2020 has officially begun. As we know, Batch 2016 had undertaken a one-year advanced medical studies program at our partner universities, University of Melbourne, Monash University, and Newcastle University. During their time there, each student had conducted a research project. We would also like to thank and welcome Dr. Anis Karuniawati, PhD, Specialist Microbiology Clinic Consultant, who is with us today.
Terima kasih Profesor Ari atas kata sambutannya. Para hadirin yang terhormat, dengan ini acara pemberian gelar akademik dan Dean's Award 2020 resmi dimulai. Mahasiswa kelas khusus internasional angkatan 2016 telah menempuh 1 tahun program pembelajaran di Universitas Mitra, yakni University of Melbourne, Monash University, dan Newcastle University. Di sana, selain mendapatkan pembelajaran, pengalaman, dan ilmu yang berharga, setiap mahasiswa juga telah melakukan sebuah proyek riset. Kami juga ingin menyambut Dr. Anis Karuniawati, PhD, spesialis mikrobiologi klinik konsultan yang sudah hadir bersama kami.
Now, the top projects from University of Melbourne, Monash University, and Newcastle University will be presented. Therefore, we would like to invite Dr. Ruliana Agustin, Master of Medical Education, as a lecturer at International Class Program to moderate the presentation session. To Dr. Ruliana, you may take the stage.
Mahasiswa dengan proyek riset terbaik dari University of Melbourne, Monash University, dan Newcastle University akan mempresentasikan hasil penelitian mereka. Sebagai moderator sesi presentasi ini, mari kita sambut Dr. Ruliana Agustin, Master of Medical Education.
Thank you, Rozan and Natasha, as Masters of Ceremony. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, committee, for the opportunity to deliver this session. We would like to congratulate the 4 best students who represent our 3 partner universities and Universitas Indonesia. Shortly, they will present their research project. They are Diandra Amandita Priambodo, University of Melbourne, Kenny Budiman, Monash University, Melati Salsabila Anjasari, Monash University, Natasha Brigita Selin, Newcastle University. For all presenters, please note, each of you is given 5 minutes to present the results of your research. Let us start with the first presenter. Diandra Amandita Priambodo, University of Melbourne, with research title, The Impact of Screening for Broader Immune Diseases in Pediatric Patients with Immune Thrombocytopenia, a Systemic Review. Diandra, please, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Hello? Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, please start.
Thank you, Doctor. My name is Diandra, and I will be presenting my systematic review today. Yes. Next, please. Thank you. How can we give proper treatment without first identifying the true disease of our patient? My name is Diandra, and my systematic review is entitled The Impact of Screening for Broader Immune Diseases in Pediatric Patients with Immune Thrombocytopenia. Next. This is the outline of my presentation. Next. ITP is an autoimmune disorder where healthy platelets are attacked. Therefore, patients with ITP are shown to have low platelet counts. Next. The diagnosis of ITP is currently only through exclusion by the 3 key parameters you see on the screen. Next. 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 Yeah. Okay. Thank you. However, we know that in order to give proper treatment, we need to have a proper diagnosis. And ITP may be associated with underlying diseases. However, these underlying diseases can only be identified through diagnosis of through further investigations. Next, the current problem is further investigations outside of the diagnosis of exclusion is not included as part of the current ITP diagnosis guideline. Therefore, this raises my research question. In patients with ITP, does investigation for broader immune diseases compared to no investigations impact patient management? And what is the rate of abnormal findings? Next. This review, therefore, aims to find the impact of further investigations on management of children with ITP. Next. This is my methods. Firstly, I have set up an a priori review protocol, which was established before the literature, which was established before I conducted the literature search. The literature search was conducted on 2 databases, and after that, I conducted study selection based on a predetermined eligibility criteria, and the quality of each studies was assessed using quality assessment tools. Next. The Prisma flowchart here, although it's very small, it shows that I have collected 115 studies, which were narrowed into only 8 studies that are reviewed in this systematic review. Next. The findings show that ITP in children are associated with a number of underlying diseases. In the graph here, we see that the most frequent finding is ANA, or anti-nuclear antibody, which is known to be related to diseases such as SLE and juvenile arthritis. Next. Unfortunately, not all of the studies reported how we can manage these patients who have underlying diseases, but there were 3 studies, patients who have ITP who are also found to have one celiac disease, the second one LAHPS and CVID. Next. And in these studies, they reported that they use targeted management, meaning treatments that are specific to their condition. And in all of these studies, they reported improved outcome. Next. So the limitation of this research was mainly due to the lack of available evidence. Firstly, most of the studies I found were observational study designs. Secondly, there were a limited number of study participants, which may consequently affect the quality of the studies. Next. However, overall, the studies have demonstrated that patient management may be positively impacted by screening for underlying immune diseases. Yet, larger prospective cohort studies are still recommended to determine the true rate of broader immune diseases in children with ITP. Further research may also contribute to the development of a clinically useful screening algorithm that is based on features of clinical presentation. Next. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diandra. Yeah, we can give Diandra a virtual applause. Okay, what an interesting research topic. Let's us continue. The second and third presenters are undergo their program in Monash University. They are Kenny Budiman and Melati Salsabila Anjasari. Kenny will present first with research title, Associations Between Bariatric Surgery, Barrett's Esophagus and Esophageal Cancer. Kenny, the time is yours.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, please.
thank
Yeah,
you.
please start.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Kenny.
Okay. Okay, so thank you, everyone. My name is Kenny. And today I would like to present my project, The Associations Between Bariatric Surgery, Barrett's Esophagus, and Esophageal Cancer. Next. Next. Okay, obesity is a disease associated with several comorbidities, including esophageal cancer and its precursor, Barrett's esophagus. Next. Currently, the most effective treatment of obesity is bariatric surgery. It is effective in terms of weight loss, and several researches made by Wiggins in 2019 found that bariatric surgery also reduces the risk of overall cancer in general. However, does it reduces the risk of esophageal cancer? So far, there are no significant differences in showing that bariatric surgery reduces the risk of esophageal cancer. In fact, 2 systematic reviews published in 2013 and 2019 found that bariatric surgery is associated with esophageal cancer. Next. Making esophageal cancer seem to be part of the risk in bariatric surgery. Next. So challenges remain. Does bariatric surgery increases the risk of esophageal cancer along with weight loss failure? And if it does, will it cause worsened conditions? Next. Up until now, there are also no description available to date of the appearance of the esophagogastric junction following sleeve gastrectomy, the most commonly performed bariatric surgery. This may lead to several misdiagnoses in Barrett's esophagus in the future. Next. Thus, the main aim of my research is to better understand the relationships of bariatric surgery, esophageal cancer, and Barrett's esophagus. But the first aim was to determine the outcomes of esophageal cancer in bariatric patients compared to the overall cancer patients. And the second aim was to compare the incidence of esophageal cancer in bariatric patients compared with normal population. And lastly, is to describe the endoscopic appearance of the esophagogastric junction following sleeve gastrectomy. Next. So my study was separated into two parts. The first main part was bariatric surgery and esophageal cancer. In this study, I did a comparative case control to measure the disease outcomes between bariatric and non-bariatric patients. And second part was the population-based cohort to measure the incidence and risk between bariatric patients and the Australian population in 2015. Next. The second part of the study was sleeve gastrectomy and Barrett's esophagus, where I did an endoscopic cohort study to observe the endoscopic appearance and measure the endoscopic changes. Next. For the result of my aim 1 in the study, when diagnosed with esophageal cancer, bariatric patients were next, much younger in age, and they are heavier when diagnosed with esophageal cancer. And despite being younger in age, bariatric patients were less likely to obtain curative management plan for their esophageal cancer, as shown in the graph in the left side of the page. And much worse, in the 5-year survival rate, bariatric patients have worsened 5-year survival rate. Next. From the age standardized relative risk between Australian population and the bariatric patients in the Alfred Hospital, using age standardized analysis, bariatric patients are 2.4 times more at risk of developing esophageal cancer. Next. And in the last aim of my study, we observed a new endoscopic appearance following sleeve gastrectomy, which we have called as a phased esophagogastric junction. It has a very similar appearance of the Barrett's esophagus, but it is actually a migrated stomacardia that moves upward from the diaphragm, as we can see the gastric folds and a normal Z-line in comparison to the normal esophagogastric junction. We also observed the position of Z-line to the diaphragm preoperatively and postoperatively, and we can see that it's actually moving upwards. Next. So in study conclusions, between bariatric surgery and esophageal cancer, follow-up is very important to prevent any long-term complications. And from the sleeve and Barrett's, endoscopists in the future should differentiate a phased esophagogastric junction and Barrett's esophagus endoscopic. Next. Yeah, internet kita jelek. I'd like to thank you everyone who has contributed to this project.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. Our applause to Kenny. And let us continue. We move on to the third presenter, Melati Salsabila Anjasari, also Monash University, with research title, The Indirect Impact of COVID-19 on Coronary Heart Disease in Australia. Melati, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Doctor, for the stage and time. I'll be talking about my project, which is the indirect impact of COVID-19 in Australia. Okay, next. So, the global burden of disease study by Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluations showed that from 1990 to the latest 2017, CVD or cardiovascular disease remains the most burdensome disease worldwide. And amongst all causes of CVD, CHD is the main cause of death in the world and is one of the leading causes of disease burden both worldwide and in Australia. In Australia, CHD is the highest contributor to the major causes of CVD deaths and number of years of life lost due to CVD. Next. So, with the outbreak of COVID-19, the pandemic and its management strategies has exerted a negative impact on many chronic diseases, including CHD. And there are a lot of interest in the direct effects of COVID-19 on cardiovascular system. However, in the context of Australia, it has been effectively controlled compared to other countries. So the focus of my project will be on the indirect effects. So there are two major implications. One is directed to the individuals with CHD. The main implication for individuals with CHD is disruption in health service utilization, which affects chronic, acute, and preventive care of CHD. And while for the society, in terms of CHD, the main implication lies in government-forced restriction and altered socioeconomic status, since people are forced to isolate themselves at home as extreme preventive measures. This increases household stress, isolation anxiety, and induced behavioral changes where evidence has suggested negative changes in smoking consumption, alcohol consumption, and physical activities, all of which are risk factors of CHD. Next. So these two major implications intertwined with each other and impacts the burden of CHD. Next. So thus the study sought to estimate the indirect impact of COVID-19 in terms of the excess deaths, years of life lost, quality adjusted life years lost, and additionally healthcare and social costs. And we hypothesized that the COVID-19 pandemic will exert a significant indirect impact on the burden of CHD in Australia, and that in the future, this may possibly exceed the direct burden itself. Next. So the method used in this study is a life table modeling, which is a model that simulates the progress of a cohort of people in a specific given time and considers the probability of death in a number of population. We use an Australian population of all ages and simulate the follow-up over 10 years. And the result following the first year is discounted by 5%. All of the data sources are available in published sources. And we also conducted a scenario analysis where we estimate a base case scenario, assuming a relative increase of 0.5% in future CHD incidence. And we also analyze 3 hypothetical scenarios in which the CHD incidence is increased by 0.5% multifold up to 2%. Next. So next. So in the base projected model population, it is found that the average CHD prevalence and its increase per year are higher in male than in female. And it is in line with numerous evidence that males are more prominent than females in terms of CHD. Next. So, and this results of the scenario analysis with the projected increase of prevalence, with the projected increase of incidence in CHD, there is an increased projection of excess deaths, and this trend is also observable in the years of life lost, qualities lost, and excess cost of CHD. So we can see that a 1% increase in CHD incidence was projected to lead for more than 1,500 excess deaths, which is twice as the previous projected value. And we can take this into account and highlight this with the current deaths due to COVID-19 in Australia, which is 907. So just a 1% increase in CHD incidence can lead to way higher excess death than what COVID-19 has caused. And this is also apparent in all of the variables that we are observing. And we can also highlight that unlike the COVID-19, most survivors of CHD have ongoing morbidity as graded qualities lost per year. So all of these findings, justified with the growing evidence on adverse impact of the pandemic on cardiovascular risk factors and care, lead to these following conclusion. Next. So we conclude that the secondary impact of COVID-19 in Australia potentially translate to a larger burden of CHD in the future, and that this may well exceed that of COVID-19 itself. And this study highlights the importance of awareness and being conscious of the impact of the pandemics and its management strategies on chronic diseases, not only CHD, but especially CHD, and as well as future policies to mitigate this. Next. Okay, thank you. That's all for my presentation. I would like to acknowledge my supervisors, Professor Danny Liu, Dr. Ella Zomer, and Associate Professor Megan Wallace for the guidance and assistance throughout this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melati. Our applause for Melati. And we think that in the time of pandemic, your research is an important one for better understanding of future impact of COVID-19. Okay, next we move on to our last presenter, who is Natasha Brigita Selin, Newcastle University, with research title, it's a long one, using single-cell transcriptomics to explore expression profiles in pancreatic islets from type 2 diabetic patients, a focus on autophagy. Natasha, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Doctor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natasha, and in today's opportunity, I would like to present my study. Next. Yeah. I would also like to use my presentation to commemorate World Diabetes Day, which were held 2 weeks ago, in order to improve our awareness and provide better understanding about type 2 diabetes. Next. Next. First, I would like to highlight the burden of disease of type 2 diabetes. It is a complex metabolic disorder characterized by chronic hyperglycemic condition, or also known as high blood glucose level. As hyperglycemia persists, individuals with type 2 diabetes will experience detrimental complications that affects multiple organs. For instance, the heart causing heart disease, the eyes causing blindness, and etc. Accordingly, people living with this secondary condition has lower life expectancies and quality of life. Next. Type 2 diabetes has now become an increasing global health issue, in which approximately 463 million adults had been diagnosed with diabetes worldwide in 2019, and 90% of those are accountable to type 2 diabetes. Next. The development of type 2 diabetes is centrally focused on the organ pancreas, which can be found within our abdomen. Within the pancreas, we can identify the beta cells, which is important for the regulation of blood glucose level, as it can secrete the hormone insulin. Insulin is the only hormone produced by our body that can lower blood glucose level. However, people with type 2 diabetes experience failure of the beta cells. Next. Therefore, as the disease progresses, they will end up with hyperglycemia or high blood glucose, accompanied by beta cell destruction and dysfunction, which are all the hallmark of type 2 diabetes. Next. However, the mechanism underlying beta cell dysfunction and death is still poorly understood. Next. It turns out autophagy may play a vital role in the maintenance of beta cell survival and function. It is a dynamic, highly regulated self-eating process. Thus, autophagy is also known as to consume oneself. It also mediates adaptive response in stressful conditions such as starvation. Several studies demonstrate that autophagy may play an important role in the development of type 2 diabetes, in which altered autophagy might be involved in beta cell death or dysfunction. However, whether the protective or harmful role of autophagy in type 2 diabetes is still currently under intensive research and still difficult to determine, as it is difficult to assess in human diabetes. Next. Therefore, our study aims to investigate whether the genes associated with autophagy are dysregulated in the beta cells isolated from type 2 diabetic individuals. Next, I will proceed with the method, result, and discussion. Next, we utilized single-cell transcriptome profile of the human pancreas adapted from Monash Solar et al. Study. This transcriptome provides information about the RNA expression level, or also known as the transcriptome profile, from each individual cells retrieved from the human pancreas. We then exclude donors with BMI less than 25 kg per meter square in order to obtain BMI matched control. Finally, we utilize 3 non-diabetic donors as control and 4 type 2 diabetic donors with a total of 2,920 cells for further pre-processing. Next, Then we proceed to data preprocessing using RStudio, which is a bioinformatic tool that utilized the coding language R. From there, we retrieve 1,886 high-quality single-cell transcriptomes, in which 289 are the beta cells. Next. From there, we perform differential gene expression analysis that compare the gene expression values between type 2 diabetic individuals and non-diabetic donors as the control. As the result of our analysis are presented in this bar graph that shows the distribution of altered gene expressions in the beta cells from type 2 diabetic donors. Interestingly, we identified more than 500 genes to be dysregulated, or to be exact, downregulated in type 2 diabetic individuals. Next. To make biological sense of the dysregulated genes, we perform functional annotation to identify pathways altered. From this analysis, we retrieved 13 genes involved in autophagy to be downregulated in insulin-secreting beta cells from type 2 diabetic individuals. Next. To summarize, the present analysis suggests that autophagy may play an important pathophysiological role in the development of type 2 diabetes. However, our findings still require validation on protein level. Finally, we hope that this finding may be useful in devising an effective therapeutic strategy. Thank you for your attention. That's all from my presentation, and I would like to thank my supervisor from Newcastle University and my co-supervisor from University of Birmingham. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. And again, our applause to Natasha. Now the presentation session is over. Thanks again to the 4 best graduates for their presentation. And we would like to congratulate all 48 graduates who have accomplished their studies, and also congrats to the proud parents. Next, I return the session to the Masters of Ceremony. Rozan and Natasha, the time is yours. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Ruliana, and all the student representatives for the wonderful and insightful presentation session.
Terima kasih kepada Dr. Ruliana dan para mahasiswa dengan riset terbaik perwakilan dari setiap universitas.
We will now proceed on to the highlight of the event, which is the degree and certificate conferment to the graduates. We will start from the graduates of University of Melbourne. For this, we would like to invite Professor Arif Faryalsham, Dr. Wismandari Wisnu, Dr. Anita Horvath, and Dr. Nilashi Waidyatillake onto the stage.
Sekarang tibalah saatnya kita akan masuk ke sesi yang sudah ditunggu-tunggu, yaitu pemberian gelar akademik dan sertifikat. Kami akan mulai dari mahasiswa dari University of Melbourne. Dengan itu, kami mengundang Profesor Arif Faryalsham, Dr. Wismandari Wisnu, Dr. Anita Horvath, dan Dr. Nilashi Waidyatillake sebagai perwakilan dari University of Melbourne untuk bergabung.
We will now call the names of the graduates to confer Dean's Award and Bachelor of Medical Science certificate. The first name to be called is the achiever of the Dean's Award from University of Melbourne, followed by the other graduates in alphabetical order.
Kami akan memanggil nama mahasiswa untuk menerima sertifikat dimulai dari nama pertama, ialah mahasiswa yang berhasil mendapatkan Dean's Award, dan diikuti dengan mahasiswa lainnya berdasarkan urutan abjad.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, these are the graduates of University of Melbourne. Congratulations to
Diandra Amandita Priyambodo, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Daniel Amartya Bustami. Bachelor of Medical Science.
Dennis O, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Justina Bernadette Swanjo, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Maria Angelica Tampu Bolon, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Muhammad Erlangga Putra Harimurti, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Natasha Veronica Winardi, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Nicholas Calvin, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Putra Andito Ramadan, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Rosita Saumi Imanta Putri, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Sarah Susanto, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Shafa Gendis Nurasti, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Viviana Kusuma Dewi, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Thank you, Professor Ari, Dr. Wismandari, Dr. Horva, and Dr. Waidia Tile. And our heartiest congratulations to all the graduates from Apologies. We would like to call again Daniel Amartya Bustami, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Dennis Oh, Bachelor of Medical Science.
Putra Andito Ramadan, Bachelor of Medical Science. That is all the graduates from University of Melbourne. Thank you, Professor Ari, Dr. Usmandari, Dr. Horvath, and Dr. Wadiat Lake. Our heartiest congratulations to all the graduates from University of Melbourne. Professor Ari and Dr. Wismandari, we respectfully ask you to remain in your position as we will proceed to the graduates from Monash University. We invite Associate Professor Megan Wallace to join the stage.
Terima kasih kepada Profesor Ari, Dr. Wismandari, Dr. Anita Horvath, dan Dr. Nilakshi Wadiatile. Selamat kami ucapkan kepada para wisudawan dari University of Melbourne. Kepada Profesor Ari dan Dr. Wismandari, kami mohon agar tetap di tempat, karena selanjutnya akan dilakukan penyerahan sertifikat untuk wisudawan dari Monash University. Untuk itu, kami mengundang Associate Professor Megan Wallace untuk bergabung.
As before, the first name to be called is the Achiever of Dean's Award from Monash University, followed by the other graduates alphabetically to receive their Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors degree.
Sekali lagi, nama pertama yang dipanggil ialah mahasiswa yang berhasil mendapatkan Dean's Award dari Monash University, dan diikuti oleh mahasiswa lainnya berdasarkan urutan abjad untuk menerima gelar Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, these are the graduates of Monash University. Congratulations to
Kenny Budiman, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Melati Salsabila Anjasari, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Anasya Diandra Atmadi Kusuma, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Kristi Rerita Sibarani, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Howard Christensen Mateos, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Davina Nabila, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Dia Surya Tarina, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Dinda Nisrina Wijanarko, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Ega Wirayoda Ponto, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Elisa Jonathan, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Joshua Alwar, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Nisa Amalia, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Pramasari Rajana Edi Wijaya, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors.
Taufik Akmal Sungkar, Bachelor of Medical Science with Honors. Those are all the graduates from Monash University. Again, thank you Professor Ari, Dr. Usmandari, and Associate Professor Megan Wallace, and congratulations to all the graduates from Monash University. Last but not least, we will proceed to the conferment for graduates of Newcastle University. Again, we respectfully ask Professor Ari and Dr. Wismandari to remain in place as we invite Professor John Kirby and Dr. Jeremy Brown onto the stage.
Sekali lagi, terima kasih kepada Profesor Ari, Dr. Wismandari, dan Associate Professor Megan Wallace. Dan kami ucapkan selamat kepada seluruh wisudawan dari Monash University. Selanjutnya, kita akan melakukan penyerahan sertifikat untuk wisudawan dari Newcastle University. Untuk itu, dengan hormat kami memohon agar Profesor Ari dan Dr. Wismandari untuk tepat pada tempatnya, dan kami mengundang Profesor John Kirby dan Dr. Jeremy Brown untuk bergabung.
We will now call the names of the graduates from Newcastle University. The first name to be called is the achiever of the Dean's Award from Newcastle University, followed by the other graduates alphabetically to receive their Masters of Research degree.
Selanjutnya, kita akan memanggil para wisudawan dari Newcastle University. Nama pertama yang dipanggil ialah mahasiswa yang berhasil mendapatkan Dean's Award dari Newcastle University, dan diikuti oleh mahasiswa lainnya berdasarkan urutan abjad untuk menerima gelar Masters of Research.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, here we present the graduates of Newcastle University. Congratulations to
Natasha Brigita Selin, Master of Research in Diabetes.
Adrianus Jonathan Sugiharta, Masters of Research in Cardiovascular Science in Health and Disease.
Alicia Prilia Mauna, Master of Research in Cardiovascular Science in Health and Disease.
Amino IT1 Remedica, Masters of Research in Neuroscience.
Verina Giovanni Suana, Master of Research in Cardiovascular Science in Health and Disease.
Dewi Alia Winarto, Masters of Research in Aging and Health.
Edianti Ratningputi, Master of Research in Cardiovascular Science in Health and Disease.
Evita Stephanie, Masters of Research in Cardiovascular Science in Health and Disease.
Heidi Indreswara Satari, Master of Research in Immunobiology.
Jesse Harjo, Masters of Research in Medical Genetics.
Joshua Eldad Frederick Lasanudin, Master of Research in Cancer.
Karisma Zatalini Giani, Masters of Research in Cardiovascular Science in Health and Disease.
Presanti Dewi Ngayadi, Master of Research in Regenerative Medicine and Stem Cells.
Marco Raditya, Masters of Research in Neuroscience.
Nimade Sarastri Widiani, Master of Research in Cardiovascular Science and Health and Disease.
Ninyoman Berlian Aryadevi, Masters of Research in Cancer.
T.B. Halim, Master of Research in Medical Genetics.
Putra Dewa Haryono, Master of Research in Neuroscience.
Salsabila Nadif Fadila, Master of Research in Neuroscience.
Sarah Kamiela Jufri, Master of Research in Cardiovascular Science in Health and Disease. Stephanie Chaidrata, Master of Research in Cancer. We would also like to recall Averina Gefani Suwana, Master of Research in Cardiovascular Science, Health and Disease. Salsabila Nadif Fadillah, Master of Research in Neuroscience. That is all the graduates from Newcastle University, as well as all the graduates from batch 2016. Thank you very much, Professor Ari, Dr. Wismandari, Professor John Kirby, and Dr. Jeremy Brown. Once again, congratulations to the graduates of Newcastle University, and big congratulations and applause to all the graduates from all three universities. Terima kasih banyak Profesor Ari, Dr. Wismandari, Profesor John Kirby, dan Dr. Jeremy Brown. Sekali lagi kami ucapkan selamat kepada wisudawan dari Newcastle University, dan tentunya selamat kepada seluruh wisudawan dari ketiga universitas mitra. We are now reaching the end of this ceremony, but before we end this event, we will have a photo session to capture this beautiful moment.
Dan dengan ini telah sampailah kita di penghujung acara. Sebelum itu akan diadakan sesi foto bersama.
We will now begin the official photo session of Dean's Award 2020. We will start with the graduates from University of Melbourne, and for that, we would like to invite Dr. Anita Horvath, Dr. Nilashi Waidiatile, Professor Arif Arielsham, Dr. Duyana Okvianti, Dr. Muri Andriasuti, Dr. Siska Widiawati, Dr. Wismandari Wisnu, Dr. Petrin Redayani, and Dr. Juliana Agustin to join us in this session. To all the graduates from University of Melbourne, please turn on your camera, and we kindly ask those who were not mentioned to turn your camera off for now.
Sekarang kita akan memasuki sesi foto resmi Dean's Award 2020. Sesi foto akan dimulai dengan mahasiswa dari University of Melbourne, dan untuk itu kami mengundang Dr. Anita Horvath, Dr. Nilakshi Waidiatile, Profesor Arif Arielsham, Dr. Duyana Okvianti, Dr. Murti Andriasuti, Dr. Siska Widiawati, Dr. Wismandari Wisnu, Dr. Petrin Redayani, dan Dr. Juliana Agustin bergabung. Kepada seluruh wisudawan dari University of Melbourne, dimohon untuk menyalakan kamera. Dengan hormat, kami memohon kepada seluruh hadirin lainnya yang tidak disebutkan untuk mematikan kamera.
Satu, dua, tiga. Next slide.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anita Horvath, Dr. Nilashi Waidiatile, and to all the graduates of University of Melbourne. For the Dean, Vice Dean, Managers, and all coordinators of Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, please remain in your position and keep your camera on.
Para dekan dekan, wakil dekan, manajer, dan seluruh koordinator kami mohon untuk tetap hadir dan menjalankan aktivitas.
Terima kasih Dr. Anita Horvath, Dr. Nilakshi Waidatilek, dan wisudawan dari University of Melbourne. Kepada dekan, wakil dekan, manajer, dan seluruh koordinator Fakultas Kedokteran Universitas Indonesia, kami mohon untuk tetap pada posisi Anda dan tetap menyalakan kamera. Next, we would like to invite Associate Professor Megan Wallace and all the graduates from Monash University to join us in this photo session. With that, we respectfully ask those who were not called to turn your camera off for now.
Selanjutnya, kami mengundang Associate Professor Megan Wallace dan seluruh wisudawan dari Monash University untuk bergabung dalam sesi foto ini. Sekali lagi, kami mohon kepada tamu lain yang tidak disebutkan untuk mematikan kamera.
One, two, three. Thank you. One more. One, two, three. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Megan Wallace and all the graduates of Monash University. Again, we kindly ask the Dean, Vice Dean, managers, and all coordinators of Faculty of Medicine Universitas Indonesia to remain in your position and keep your camera on.
Terima kasih kepada Associate Professor Megan Wallace dan seluruh wisudawan dari Monash University. Sekali lagi, kami mohon agar dekan, wakil dekan, manajer, dan seluruh koordinator dari Fakultas Kedokteran Universitas Indonesia untuk tetap menyalakan kamera.
We would like to invite Professor John Kirby, Dr. Jeremy Brown, and all graduates from Newcastle University to join us in the next photo session. With that, we respectfully ask those who are not called to turn your camera off.
Kami mengundang Profesor John Kirby, Dr. Jeremy Brown, dan para wisudawan dan Newcastle University untuk bergabung dalam sesi foto ini. Dengan hormat, kami memohon kepada seluruh hadirin yang tidak disebutkan untuk mematikan kameranya.
One, two, three. Okay, one more. One, two, three. Thank you.
Lastly, we would like to invite everyone to turn on their camera and we will take a picture all together. Selanjutnya akan dilakukan sesi foto bersama. Kami mengundang seluruh hadirin Dean's Award 2020 untuk menyalakan kamera.
First slide. One, two, three. One more. One, two, three. Thank you.
With that, today's conferment ceremony for students of International Class Program of the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, has now come to an end. Thank you to all students, parents, and honorable guests from all universities, and once again, congratulations, graduates. My name is Rozan.
And I'm Natasha.
We hope you enjoyed the event. Good evening, stay home, stay safe, and have a nice day.
Berakhir sesi foto bersama. Berakhir pula acara penyerahan gelar akademik dan Dean's Award 2020 untuk mahasiswa kelas internasional angkatan 2016. Terima kasih kepada seluruh mahasiswa, orang tua, serta seluruh tamu undangan yang terhormat. Saya Natasha.
Dan saya Rozan.
Pamit undur diri. Selamat siang, sampai jumpa.
Selamat, terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Alhamdulillah, terima kasih.
Terima kasih semua. Prof. Ari,
Terima kasih semuanya. Terima kasih, Prof.
Selamat ya semua.
Makasih, thank you.
Screenshot.
Kangen guys.
Terima kasih ya, selamat.
Thank you.
Selamat.
Thank you so much.
Selamat Dr. Petrin. Mbak Petrin, selamat.
Terima kasih. Oh, terima kasih banyak ya, Prof.
Mbak Petrin, selamat.
Iya, terima kasih, Wi. Terima kasih. Terima kasih banyak ya.
Kongres Kamel.
Terima kasih, selamat Dr. Patrick. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Prof. John, Baby.
Selamat semua.
So, Megan.
Hey, Professor Megan, where are you? I can't see you.
So, students.
Thank you, Dr. Anita. I can't see you, but thank you. And also Nilaksmi, Dr. Nilaksmi, thank you. Hi, Anita. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Terima kasih, Dr. Wisma.
Terima kasih, Dr. Wisma.
Saya pamit dulu. Terima kasih semua. Saya pamit dulu.
Pamit, Prof.
Pamit ya. Pamit semuanya.
Selamat semua. Pamit, Prof. Dr. Wisma, terima kasih. Dr. Ami, terima kasih. Ya.
Selamat ya, terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Kamu masih mau di sini ya?
Pamit ya. Izin pamit.
Dan hakim Dean's Award 2020 silakan.
Selamat ya Dokter Sinta.
Prof. Ari.
Ya, selamat ya. Wah, hebat,
Terima
hebat.
kasih Prof. Ari.
Sukses ya.
Ya, Prof. Terima kasih banyak.
Kompak nih, ngumpul semua ya.
Ya, ya
Ya
Prof.
Pak, selamat Pak. Terima kasih Bro. Ya, sukses, sukses. Terima kasih.
Selamat buat semua. Terima kasih.